Oh, our little people. So, as we get to kind of talk a little bit this evening, there's one thing that we're going to get to spend the last part of our session time together with, and that is that they were guiding us towards one more layer of removing, healing, and clearing some of the levels of polarity that we hold within us. That in truth, kind of the idea of polarity, we can understand it in many, many different ways. That polarity is going to show up for us as an energetic imprint that we feel within our emotions, that we feel within even the way that we have related to others within this lifetime. Most every relationship we've had has played out some sort of polarity within our life that is either stemming from something that we need to come into more of a balance within ourself with, or something that is just replaying out something potentially that we've lived out within another lifetime. And that this polarity is something that at a base level, at well, let's take it to the 12th dimensional level, let's take it to the Christos level of the intention of polarity. That polarity was really more of the mechanics, the sciences of the universe, the polarized spin of light. And that when we think of, say, the electron, the proton, the neutron, and again, these have different terms and words as we move up throughout dimensions because they move into things like radions and so on and so forth. I'd have to get the list out as far as how they go, but they're basically, there's higher dimensional aspects to the electron, the proton, the neutron, of which is part of the construct of the atom, which begins to create and help to create the material reality that we exist within. And that within this, we know that it has the negative and the positive polarity, which then starts to play out within what we would call the polarity of gender, what we might even think as the male and female. Now, the important thing for us to realize is that we are all male and female polarized beings within ourselves. That even though we play out our different reality with different beings within this reality, male and female, in their physical form, that the true heros gamos that we are here to attain in this lifetime, the true bringing ourselves into balance, is about balancing our own masculine and feminine within ourselves. And that this divine masculine and feminine, this heros gamos, the basic, it's the almost the serpent's up the staff, if you will, is also a radiance of energy that is about the movement of light through our body, the seraphim and the oraphim light, the angelic light that we hold within ourselves. Therefore, masculine energy or yang energy spins outward. All it is, they're the exact same thing. They're just spinning in opposite directions. So as the masculine energy spins outwards, it is projecting, pushing, or for those that are manifestors, you've heard me say, it's kind of like the aura or the energy that pushes out. It's just the spin of one's aura is pushing in the opposite direction. So therefore, we consider it more the electrical energy, more that energy that is like a seed that is pulsing out. And that when the energy is spinning inward, we could see that as drawing in like a magnet. And that therefore, it is just the spin of our light within us that is spinning in an energetic field of moving inward. And so the dance between these two, when they are in harmony, are creating the balance within us. Part of the heros gamos and the balances within us is us getting to a place that we don't need our outward reality to play out any themes for us to find our own sovereignty, security, or knowingness of who we are within ourselves. That literally we do not need another person, a situation, or anything within our reality to make us feel safe, secure, validated, as though we're loved, as though we belong, or as though we have value within the creation of the all or source. That we in truth come to such a singularity, a hieros gamos, an internal spiritual marriage within ourselves of our own spinning light, that it all merges together, that we literally find within ourselves what is called sovereignty. We become a sovereign being that is mastering our own energy flowing through us. So that therefore, all that matrix, as it was so perfectly described with those grids and that all of that, really begin to dissolve, because we don't need that to play out any of the archetypes. Many of these archetypes are held for us within the planetary bodies. This is why we feel them so much, is because they're holding an energy for us, kind of managing it for us, almost like bankers for energy of our soul. And what we're slowly doing is learning to take our sovereignty back from all the archetypes. So therefore, Mercury doesn't influence us anymore. Saturn doesn't influence us anymore. We take it all the way back. But once you take your sovereignty back from Neptune, you are transcending through your seventh chakra. You are transcending through the veil of anything that has ever separated you from being pure light or pure source. And therefore, it's such a gift when we have these kids that are able to now be able to tell us, hey man, I can see through the wall, because the wall is mainly pure light. There is no matter to the wall. We see the wall because we think it's solid. But if we got to see with our pure light eyes of the higher dimensional realm, we would actually see its dancing light, that eventually we would just see right through it, because all is. And so as we get to hold this polarity, it's really important for us in a lot of ways to kind of understand, again, why are we here? Why are we in this body? Why did we even choose to come deal with all of these traumas, with all of this pain, with all of this having to find ourselves and revalidate ourselves and tell us again, I love you, you matter, right? Why do we go through this whole level of separation in order to go like, oh my gosh, let me crawl back home? And this is actually one of the greatest polarities, all the way stemming out of the 12th dimension, that became distorted. So we're going to talk a little bit about Lyran history, and I don't want to go off too far on a lot of this in order to keep it focused for our clearing. But at the highest meta-terrestrial or archetype builder, our guardian races from the Andromedan galaxy, if you will, these guardian Christos races, the intention for this universe was to be able to step our consciousness into levels of separation, but to always have an energetic or a light body connection that always maintained an awareness of itself within density, that it was still part of the all, having an experience of being separate. So in our times in the Pleiades, in our times even at the higher dimensions of Orion, all of the places where we start to think of a basically sixth dimension and up, but even within to the fifth dimension consciousness of thinking, because fifth dimension is still quite a physical reality, that there would have been an absolute awareness of feeling the unity consciousness. For any of you that, oh gosh, I'm not even going to remember the book. It's okay. I don't need to. They can pull it from me, and that's okay. But for any of you that have had kind of like those read the, there is a book out there, I can't remember it right now, but the concepts of societies and civilizations, that when they live together, that there's such a level of transparency that there is no need for quote unquote honesty, because it's just a transparent way of being. One would never truly want to harm another, because there's such an awareness that if we were to create the desire for harm, it would literally be visible to all within the community through being able to see, sense, and know our intentions and our vibrations. That this is really what more fifth dimensional consciousness would be like living as. Because in the fourth dimension, we're starting to learn, like in astral dreams and lucid dreaming, that your thoughts manifest things, that your thoughts can change things, that your thoughts can transport you places. Therefore, as it moves into the fifth dimension, you get into this level of heart-based unity consciousness that sees with a greater capacity to see through things. So see through walls, see through illusion, see through the physical matter, because you're really perceiving each other on energetic levels. Therefore, our energetic levels within us are completely transparent. If you are feeling joy, happiness, love, compassion, your aura emanates it, your energy emanates it, and all are in basically a unity consciousness, almost to the level of what we might even think of telepathy. Although there is separation in thought, but there is a level of like telepathy where you sense and feel. You just know. Therefore, there is no ability to come in and distort through manipulation, because you would see manipulation coming. You would just see it. You would just know, oh, that's what they're intending. So within this, to kind of understand from the original intentions for this universe in creation, there was never an intention for there to be absolute suffering. There was always an intention for there to be a level of polarity, a level of light and dark and gender and all these different polarities of the spectrum of the rainbow, so that these would be the building blocks so that we could actually have colors to paint with within this reality. If we were back in the unity field, we would just be in the field of white light, so to speak. But then sometimes it's fun to play with colors, and colors are the spectrum. It's becoming, separating the light into different frequency bands and rays, and then beginning to play with them, create with them, experience with them. So imagine from the highest levels a universe where we could have separated into levels of polarity, but these polarities would have still been based within law of one teachings, compassion, unity consciousness that honored each other's creation, so we could have experiences within this reality, within forms, evolving species, evolving forms, and going on and so forth. And so within this is kind of the important thing to understand, is that there at a deepest level within us is a knowing that something feels wrong when we're told that, oh, well, these are your lessons. You came to the earth school to learn. You came to the earth school to like learn how to be nice to other people, or how to like value things, or so on and so forth. And there's a part of us that's all like, oh, okay, I've tried to buy into this, but something doesn't feel right with it, because it's not. The original blueprint wasn't about us having to go to these earth schools to actually learn who we are, but that we could actually go in and experience creation and play within it and evolve through it as creative species. So how did it get so distorted? How did the polarity really get to the level that it's at? And this came through Andromeda, and this came through Lyra. And I know Draco gets a horribly bad rap, but it's not where it started, but it is where it exasperated within the cosmos on a deep level. So what happened is that within creation, there was infiltration that was wanting to come into this reality from outside this universe. And as it started to enter in, it began to slowly infect some of the consciousness. We could think of this as AI. We could think of this as artificial. It's basically an energy that came from another universe that has more of a parasitic energy to it. And that within this, as it began to really infect within the Draco constellation, that the wars from Draco, as many of the creator beings, the creator dragon lineage lines, what we might even call some of the forefathers of the Anunnaki lines, as they began to flee Draco to get away from what was happening there, they literally led the war to Lyra. And within Lyra, there was already now an energy of vying for power. That the problem that we have, now think of our kids, when our kids play together, there's a pile of toys. Why do they have to pick one toy to fight over when there's a pile of toys? That even within creation, what started to happen is that creation started to want to fight for possession, for ownership, for space, for who could be where. And so as we get to experience this energy, as it moved into Lyra, and as the wars within Lyra began to really escalate, and this is where a lot of us have our memories of when life was actually really amazing, but then the invasions came, and all of a sudden we lost our homes. We had to watch planets blow up. There was tragedy, lost ones. There was a feeling of a sense of responsibility, or somehow not catching things in time, or somehow being responsible for all the pain and suffering that has happened for all creation. This is a huge theme for a lot of Lyran souls, is just feeling so responsible because there was such an awareness of how much this was going to affect all creation. And that within Lyra are the three main stargates, the 10th Stargate, the 11th Stargate, and the 12th Stargate. And as the 10th Stargate really started to be fought over, these Lyran wars began to create destruction within the template and within the fabric of the universe. So this is kind of where it really escalated for creation. As the planetary bodies started to be destructed, these were very important template stargates. These were stargates that were helping to hold the bottom tree of life, connecting us to the Andromedan galaxy. And as these three stargates started to be fought over, the 10th, and they were then going to fight over the 11th, and the 11th had to protect itself. It had to seal itself off in order to fully and completely protect the 12th stargate. And when these wars happened, it created rips and tears within the fabric of the universe, that these began to mess with the time anomalies within this universe. So these rips and tears within the fabric of the universe are the fabric of space and time. It is what holds the construct of this universe together. All of the universal or dimensional laws, which are like the building blocks of the rules of how it stays together. And basically, as these tears started to happen within it, it made this universe susceptible to now that AI energy from the parallel universes and from these black hole universes, so almost like reversal universes, to begin to infiltrate into this reality. So basically, this was the beginning of our mass AI, artificial intelligence infection within this universe. And this is really kind of starting to understand, where do we play out with this pathological or narcissistic polarity that so many of us have been dealing with, maybe for lifetimes, maybe for many planetary systems. For those that have ever been in those codependent or, had narcissistic beings within one's life, so on and so forth, that a lot of these patterns aren't from the natural blueprint of this universe. Pathological, psychopaths, narcissists was not the original intention for us to learn a life lesson in the earth school, so that we could learn to love ourselves and not be enablers. No, I don't. This is when you really tap into this, you can start to feel, oh my gosh, how long have we been really working to heal this? And it's not even our true mission to be fully and completely validating that lesson within this lifetime. And that in truth, what we're really dealing with is that when those rips and tears started to happen in this black hole, so basically, literally, reversal energy entered into this universe. Now we're starting to sense where a lot of the vibration, even for the fallen angelics, the infection into, say, the fallen angelics, so on and so forth. But now we can start to see it does not belong to us. And therefore, we are the micro of the macro of the universe. Even though we seem like we're just in these tiny little human bodies, we are still playing out this very scenario from Lyra. That our consciousness is like the fabric of the universe. And our consciousness has been doing everything to seal up and restore these tears within the fabric of the universe in order to close the portals. I'm gonna actually pause for a moment. Yes, Tiana, did you want to unmute? Or maybe it's a high five. So as these portals begin to be sealed, so think about all the times when we are doing the 12th dimensional shield and we are commanding our space, and we're commanding our space within it, and we are creating the transit portals in order to remove any of the negative energies out of here. And at the same time, then we are commanding to seal, remove, delete, and dissolve, to completely remove any of the doorways and portals where any of these entities or energies ever entered into our field. We can command this stuff. We can do this through our intentions and through our light field. And now as we imagine, oh, okay, I can remove entities, I can remove spirits, attachments, and things within my field. This is the same energy that we're doing on a galactic and a cosmic level in order to begin to flush out and remove this AI, this artificial, this anti-Christic energy, this reversal energy that entered into this universe, and that on many levels, as it's attempting to enter through our consciousness, because it can't just enter into a body. The only way that it has access to us is to infect our thoughts, to then work with our thoughts in order to get us to basically be its vehicle for the experience within this reality. So now, as we get to kind of imagine this, now this is, how is this kind of working through? I will tell you, from a soul to an oversoul perspective, there's an aspect of each of our souls. This is one of the polarities we get to deal with. One of the aspects of our soul has the intention to go into these creations, to go into the creations in order to be that restoration plan, to be the Christos light, to come in. Because the main reason a lot of these wars against the Stargates happened is that what these negative AI intentions were was to cut off these stargates, to shut them off, to close the doors, to take them over, and to seal them. And the reason why they were doing this is because they did not want more Christ consciousness to come in from the metaterrestrial races of the higher universe or from the Andromedan galaxy. They did not want us. They didn't want star seeds. They didn't want Christ consciousness aligned beings. They didn't want soul sparks coming from the higher galactic creations to come in and completely command them out. And what they didn't want is for us to actually finally get in here and remember who we are and our ability to stand in our sovereignty, our ability to completely unplug all of the thoughts that are annihilating us from our own self-worth, and to be able to remember who we are, how important we are as equals standing in the circle. And so now as we get to hold this energy, there's going to be an aspect of our soul, and an aspect of our soul has a desire to go into levels of separation, to go into the experience, to be this. But at the same time, part of the polarity and the duality of this reality is that the other half of us, 50% of us, is doing everything it can to get back out and to go back home. So we're literally have our soul almost spiraling in two energies, one that's going in for a sense of purpose, if you will, and one that's like, I gotta get the hell out of here. I'm going back to source. I'm done. I'm going back to unity. Now imagine these spirals. What if we could align the spin of the intention of our soul? So even the aspect that's in separation, it doesn't have the sense of separation anymore, because through the heroes gamos that we create within ourselves, we have that unity strand of light that is all the way in the sense of, here I am as a human in this body, but just as equally, there I am as part of the all, of part of the whole. That there is no separation. There's an aspect of us within the infinity of spirit. There's an aspect of us that is also fully aware. And this is the biggest challenge, because we're doing this in a density. We're doing this in a aspect of the universe that we were never supposed to be incarnated into. We were never supposed to, as an angelic race line, be in the first, second, and third dimension. These were supposed to just be the subharmonics and the bass tones of the building blocks of creation. But the metaterrestrials and our intention from the guardians was never for us to go into creation and be stuck here in first, second, and third dimension. Our true energetic energy that we are familiar with and we understand. This is just to give you guys more of an understanding of why your heart yearns for this so much, is to live like that Pleiadian model, if you will, or that energetic model of unity consciousness where there is transparency. Nobody's trying to trick anybody. Nobody's trying to hurt each other. Nobody's being the mean girl in school or the mean guy in school. Nobody's like, it just boggles me, just to watch just the levels to which there's that level of pain and suffering that comes in this reality. And for those of us that are in this position, we know that doesn't feel right. And the reason why is because we were never supposed to have been dropped down into this molecular base level of creation. Our consciousness is supposed to be existing with the fourth, fifth, and sixth vibrations and frequencies. And this is what we're stepping back into. And how do we do this? So they were saying that this is where we start to get to understand polarity, that we don't want to make polarity wrong, but at the same time that we're coming into a place where we want to start unplugging from needing to heal our polarity through others, through our work, through our challenges and our reality. We want to get to a place where we don't need to get into a dysfunctional relationship in order to learn to love ourselves and what we value within who we are in a relationship. We want to get to the place where we don't need to have, a job where we aren't honored, or that our voice isn't heard anymore, because we needed to learn how to speak up for ourselves and how to value the work that we came here to do. So in essence, what I'm literally saying is we want to get to a place where we understand our astrological wheel so much, so we understand every polarity within it, and that we transcend those polarities and we realize, oh, all of these have been part of the energy that keeps us in the matrix, that grid. And as we understand that all of that is an illusion, keeping us looking like we're living within walls, but we can get to a place where we can see through the walls again. That we start to realize, oh, I don't need to go through that challenge anymore because I know who I am. And that is the balance of the masculine and divine feminine within oneself, the yin and the yang, the left and the right, all of the meridians and the polarities within oneself, you become your sovereign being. You become your own validator. You become your own love. You become your own wholeness within oneself. And if I can do that, right? So let's just picture this in a soul circle. Imagine I get to the place where I could be my hero Skamos. And you get to the place where you can be your hero Skamos. And now we are all standing in the circle together as our own divine heroes Gamos within ourselves. Now what do we create? We don't need to be in each other's lives, to push each other's buttons, to challenge each other, to anything. Now what do we create? That is the level of the advanced races. That is the true question. We've been traumatized for so long that most of us are just trying to get away from something. We want our life to be more connected, feel more source. Why? Because we're trying to get away from the feeling of feeling disconnected, as though we don't know, as though we're in the dark, as though we're alone, different, unloved. And when we become that within ourselves, that stabilizing energy of balance within ourselves, we see through the walls of all of the illusion here, and now we all stand as creators. And from there, we see the template of the universe. And I invite you from this template, what do you want to create? And I invite all of us to just sit with that energy for a little bit, to not even answer it right away, because literally, this is something that we get to really honestly answer from outside of a human perspective. And so from that place within your heart, I just want to take us through a little bit of a quick clearing, just a few minutes before we end our session together. And that this clearing is just going to open us up to any place that we have been still operating from something called the victimizer programming. That the VV, or the victimizer programming, is the base energy, the base infection programming that the AI technology brought in and infected this universe with. The feeling that we need a savior to save us, the feeling that we're helpless, that we're hopeless, that we're trapped, that we're alone, all of the places. Imagine in your mind and heart all the ways in which one could express the energy of being a victim. And that the polarized energy is being a victimizer. Someone playing the polarized aspect, being the bully, being the tyrant, being the one that is the perpetrator, so on and so forth. And in every single way that we can look at it from an extreme level, we might look at it from the extreme level of someone that's being a bully and picking on someone, to someone who feels helpless and hopeless and like a victim, right? But they're asking us to take it down to the minutest level within ourselves. That this isn't something where we really want to look outside of ourselves anymore, of like, well, was it my mother? Was it my father? Was it, the country where I was born? Or, oh, if it wouldn't have been for my first grade friend that turned on me and abandoned me, so on. That all of those are literally still projecting outward to another, as far as that level of victimizer, of the reasons why, justifying why we got to the place where we are. And that within this, that this is the neutral, compassionate witness, where we get to see the energy, but we get to love it, and we